If you're already creating content on YouTube or planning to start soon, this video will potentially save you a lot of money and possibly a lot of frustration too. I've been there. I bought gear, sold gear, upgraded, downgraded, swapped cameras with friends, bought lenses that I never used. Then I realized most content creators don't need 90% of the gear they think they need. So today I'll tell you what you shouldn't buy and what actually matters, and the alternatives that give you the best quality on a budget. First thing first, don't buy a camera. Yeah, you heard me right. If you got a phone that you already have upgraded in the last couple of years, that's enough. And people usually ask me, what camera do I shoot on? But truthfully, I do have a recently acquired Nikon ZR. I do have my Sony ZV-E10 II, which I'm currently shooting on. I've got a Nikon Z50, a Lumix S9. I just sold my A7C II and ZV-E1. But most of the content I create could be done on my phone. There's no doubt about it. And this is not even the latest phone. This is a iPhone 16 Pro, which I picked up last year's sale. Now, you would ask me why? Because the quality doesn't come from the camera. It comes from lighting, composition, and sound. Right now, I'm just shooting it on a cheap Viltrox lens, and I'm sure you can see that it looks decent. Like, it's not super professional or studio-like, but it's good enough for the type of video when I'm just talking to you guys. So unless your channel is about camera reviews, don't buy cameras to begin with. Your phone is enough. Next one, if you don't buy a camera or spend money on camera, you should spend money on some lights. If you have a budget, buy two lights. One is a key light and one is a fill light. I've used everything from a small Ulanzi light to even a ring light at one stage, or sometimes even max brightness of the monitors. And yes, the video still performed good. Well, here's the rule. Don't buy a ring light unless your channel is about makeup tutorials and things like that. Or if you're buying a ring light, buy the biggest one you can find. But for cinematic lighting, you need to buy a soft box, potentially with a grid, or I would say even use Elgato key lights. They're decent. And if you don't want to buy lights, learn how to manipulate or use your environment for lighting, including a window. Like if you have a shoot plan, just do it during the day. Use your white sheets or white paper to diffuse the lights if it's too harsh. And things like that could be a good starting point without spending too much money. That brings me to the next point. Do not compromise on audio or a decent mic. Currently, I'm using this DJI mic mini, which is plugged right into my camera through an adapter, and that's why I prefer this DJI mic system, because it's quite compatible with a lot of cameras. And for Sony, they do have an adapter that allows it to be directly plugged into my camera without a need of wires. And at this stage, I think this audio is good enough for my channel. You can try cheap mics like Boya, or get a wired mic. Like if it's too much of an investment for getting a wireless system, just get a wired lav mic and that will be good enough for you. But do not buy the cheap mics that look cool, but when it comes to functionality or performance, they do lack. And that's where the price difference comes from. And if you don't have money for mic, just use your phone's mic, because believe it or not, these mics in these phones are really good, and it will need a bit of post-processing, but trust me, it will give you a better quality than most of the cheap mics you can buy. The next thing that comes to mind is a decent tripod. I've used the cheapest tripod I couldn't find on Amazon, and that was fine for a while. Like it lasted me maybe 3 months or something. But after that, it was getting loose and it was moving when I didn't want it to move. So I invested in a carbon fiber tripod, and that is what I think I would recommend. So buy a decent tripod that can hold the weight of your camera comfortably, because if you drop your camera and lens, it would cost you way more than what it would cost to buy a decent tripod. And next thing that comes to mind when we are thinking about creating videos on YouTube is editing. Now, you might have heard a lot of softwares like CapCut or even Apple's native software like Premiere Pro or Adobe Suite, and they're great. Don't get me wrong, but they're very expensive. So I chose to learn my video editing on DaVinci Resolve free version, and then I upgraded to a studio version, but you don't need to. And I would suggest to learn how to edit on laptop, because you can edit on your phone, and a lot of people do. But once you start using your laptop with a couple of monitors, it actually changes your mindset that you are actually working on something serious, but you still want to create the best version of a video that you possibly can. And for that, free softwares like DaVinci Resolve would be great to start. You don't have to spend money on subscriptions from Adobe or Premiere Pro or other things like that, including CapCut. It used to be free, but now most of the features they had is behind that subscription wall. But DaVinci Resolve is still free. And when it comes to laptop for editing, I would not recommend buying the cheapest out there. Buy the most, not expensive, but most I would say high-end laptop that you can afford right now. And if you don't want to spend too much money, depending on what system you want to use, I prefer to edit on a Mac machine. If you don't have money for laptop, just buy a Mac Mini. I would say M4 Mac Mini are really nice to start with, and they're fairly cheap compared to any laptop out there. And they're very powerful when it comes to 6K video and under. The next point is do not buy and fall into trap of buying paid subscribers and paid views. Because I've heard a lot about these things where people are actually approaching different companies to get them subscribers and increase their, I think, view amount to reach that threshold of YouTube of 4,000 watch hours. But if you think about it, it just confuses the YouTube algorithm, and you're not being truthful to yourself as well. Like if you take that route, the audience that you would gather would not be there for you and your content. It would be there for the benefit that the company or whoever is paying them. Right? So the next point I would recommend is do not hire an editor to begin with. Like that's one of the mistakes which a lot of people who does have access to funds would do, that they would just start creating and hire an editor or a team of editors to edit for them. But if you think about it, if you don't understand the end-to-end process of editing, it's very hard to see and understand what a good product would look like. So I would recommend for first 10 to 20 videos minimum, just learn how to edit yourself. And then if you think that an editor would suit you or your business better, then just hire it then. But until 10 or 20 videos, just learn the craft of editing and learn to finalize a style that you prefer. And the next point would have to be thumbnails, because it doesn't matter how good the video is. If the packaging isn't good, nobody is going to watch it. And for that, thumbnail and title comes along. Well, you can use DaVinci Resolve for thumbnail and titles. You can just use a screen grab from your video. Like I can literally grab this and put a title in between, and that could be my thumbnail. You can use softwares like Canva and Photoshop or anything that you have access to or you're familiar with, but you don't need to, is what I'm saying. Especially if you're using free program like DaVinci Resolve, you would be able to create a decent thumbnail. Or I believe Canva is free as well when you want to create decent thumbnails from that software as well. Apart from all the things that we have discussed, I believe rest everything is unnecessarily and cluttering. So if you really want to focus on creating, just do it this way and follow those steps and guidelines or my experience that I've shared. So overall, I just want to say you don't need a perfect camera, you don't need the perfect mic, you don't need the perfect lights. You just need a phone, basic lights, decent audio, a tripod, a laptop to edit your videos, and most importantly, consistency. And rest is just making everything work. And if you want to learn about the art of creating or how to create better videos using a phone or a camera, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. My name is Amit, and I'll see you in the next one.